12 o'clock noon, so we're going to get started. Today, we're going to be talking about a template that Kathleen Receiver developed to help you develop your elevator pitch. Okay, so when your kids are developing their elevator pitch, their 2-minute or less pitch, they're going to submit on December 11th. This template will kind of guide you through that process to get your best pitch. And remember, one of the ways we discussed as a way to submit your pitch would be to be in a Google Meet just like this, and you hit record and your kids are just talking about their pitch, okay? That's a very easy way to do it, is just to record a Google Meet with your kids talking about their pitch, their elevator pitch. Before we begin though, before I turn it over to Kathleen, just a reminder that if you have not done it already, you need to be filling out that form on the STLP website to reserve your spot for part 1. I believe everybody here has done that. But yeah, so we've had about 70 people do that so far. So that's excellent. But yeah, so part 1 form, very important. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kathleen, and she's going to talk about the template she has developed.
All right, thank you, Russ. I'm going to turn my video off if it's okay. I'll have better connection here, and then I'm going to share my screen. All right, so we meet with our some of the Zone 2 who are here with us today. And someone gave me the idea. They were like, could you give me a template or something? And I think for new STLP coordinators, I know it's very overwhelming. So I thought this may help as a template for you to use. So you can see I have a message to them here, and I will send this to you to a forced copy to you so you can have your own. But just to remember that for regionals this year, especially for our people that have been doing this for a few years now, your regional project must be that 2-minute elevator pitch. So one thing that I told my coordinators is make sure that you're telling your kids to go out there and just Google kid elevator pitches to get different ideas. And you should do that yourself just to get an idea of what an elevator pitch is, and also, maybe see some kids doing them to get some ideas that way. And then like Russ said, recording a Google Meet would probably be the best idea to do for this 2-minute elevator pitch. And then if you have the Google slide deck like this, similar to this one, the kids could just go through the slide deck as they speak, and you could record that for them. So again, it must be a pitch in less than 2 minutes, and it's not going to be a Google site necessarily unless you want to record the screen of them speaking. So on slide 2, this is and I guess I could really go to present mode. It might be a little bit larger for you. This is what Jeff Cebulski has on the STLP State website, just talking to you about what exactly is the elevator pitch and what's expected for this first round of regionals. So like Russ said, you want to make sure that you've reserved your spot. So that's there under the 4th bullet, the 2-part registration. And then you're going to submit those pitches by December 11th. So we will give you more information as soon as Russ gets that from Jeff as to how that's going to happen, but do know that you have until the 11th. And then it doesn't matter. I've been asked this question several times. It doesn't matter how many kids. So remember that, as many presenters as you want, I guess, because it is a digital format. Now I wouldn't do several, 20 or anything like that, but you can have more than the normal 4. And he gives some links here about the 120-second rule. So judges should be able to see that and listen to it in less than 2 minutes.
So what we do limit, just real quick, Kathleen, there's no limit on the number of presenters this year. So if you've got 25 kids, right, all 25 can talk. Now we don't recommend that, but no limit. Don't count yourself at 4 and say only 4, right?
Right. Exactly. Sorry, I'm getting my daughter's lunch out of the microwave here, triple tasking. Okay, so exactly, you can have as many as you need. And then something that I've said to some of mine is, if the kids can make these 2-minute speeches, and if you get it done and not wait until the day before, I don't mind looking at those and giving you feedback, just like we practiced in the past. So everything's done online. Okay, so here is the actual rubric, and I'm sure hopefully most of you have seen that. And on this slide deck, it is linked here to this title. the page, the bundle that Jeff Cebulski has made. So I went through and went to each section on this rubric in this Google slide deck. So the first page, you have to have your project title. And on this page is probably a good place to put your kids, the names of your students, the school name, maybe even your school logo can be nice for judges to see, but you have to have that STLP logo somewhere in the presentation. Probably wouldn't hurt to have it on every page, really, but that has to be there. That's part of the rubric. So you have your title page that the kids can create, and then I went through each of those areas and listed questions. So empowered learner. So on this page, your kids could either show and talk about what the challenge is or the issue that they're planning to solve with their regional project. So I know Russ has given several ideas at these lunch and learns. One idea that one of the Zone 2 schools has is they want to do some type of like bully prevention. So the challenge is students are getting bullied virtually while they're learning, and the kids want to do something about that. So that they're trying to solve virtual bullying. So, and it's important to them because they've been bullied, who will benefit? Obviously the kids will benefit, maybe some staff as well. So then once they talk about that quickly, right, because you only have 2 minutes, the next slide, innovative designer. So what is the project going to do to solve the challenge? And this, the kids need to explain what they're going to do. Do they have to do it now? Does it have to be complete? Absolutely not. What are they going to do between now and state in April, May, whenever that is this year? What are they going to do to help solve this project or work towards solving the project? So maybe for the bullying example, they're going to work with the bully resource teachers at our district level and work with them to create some videos and I don't know, step-by-step, solutions to what to do if you're being bullied. And then the data part, how do you know that your goal has been reached? So how can your students get data and find out if what they're doing is working? Simple way is by having them create that Google form. So going through these slides and talking to them about ideas of what they can do, and then on their own time, they can create a Google form to collect data from the kids in the school. Have you watched any of our bullying episodes? Has the bullying episode helped you? So that's how they would know if they are reaching their goal of lessening bullying. How many times have you been bullied this year or this week? So kids can make those forms and you can help them to send them out to their school and or the community if that's what the project is. And then the next one, global collaborator. And I'm sure for any of you new coordinators that are joining us today, these different titles should sound familiar, right? They're much like our success skills. They basically are our success skills. So who are they going to work with to help learn more about the project? And for my example, I said that they were going to work with some of our bullying prevention team at the district level in JCPS to help make their project stronger and get ideas from those experts. And what I've done here is I linked up the district resource teacher support. This is a handbook of all district support teams in JCPS. And I bet many of them you may not even know exist. I know when I was in the classroom, I didn't know about every single district resource person, but you can go through here and see, oh, my kids are wanting to do something with health and fitness during the pandemic. Well, Mimi Ratliff is the instructional lead for that. So you could contact her on Twitter or email and see if she could help provide support to you and your kids. So I would really encourage you to look through here just to, here's our team, the digital innovation team. I would really encourage you to look through here to see if you find someone that can help support your students. I know several of Zone 2 they're making support videos for our ESL kids. So maybe they may want to reach out to the ESL instructional support. So that's just an idea of how to globally reach out, I guess, within the district. Obviously, you can, do that more with community members as well. Also, another idea, they're doing, I think, podcasts or morning announcements. And they're going to reach out to their local library and see maybe if they would want to join in on one of their announcements to give kids tips about how to read from for free on an app on their device at home. So that's a great idea to collaborate with community members as well as your local police. I'm
Just
sorry?
another point about those district resource folks. If you talk to somebody in the ESL department or the DEP, Diversity, Equity, and Poverty department, they probably have community contacts that they can then hook you up with. So it would go from internal JCPS to an external organization. So they've got community contacts too. So you could use that JCPS person and their contacts.
Very good. I didn't even think about that. Good point. I know, like for Mimi, that's just the one that I looked at. I know she definitely has contacts within the district too, or within the community to help as well. Great point, Russ. Also, creating social media accounts for the STLP. This could be helpful as well because you could follow different community members in the Louisville area or even beyond, and that could help to promote your project. It really all depends on what the students are wanting to accomplish. It might just be within their school. It might be within Louisville, or it could be within the United States or beyond. So creating that social media account and using it and modeling for them that digital citizenship and using it for the good, right, could really benefit your project as well. And then the knowledge constructor. So what tech tools are you going to use to help with this project? And I know this may be a little bit more challenging for us since we're virtual, but there are many platforms that are approved that you can use with your kids to help with your project. If it's going to be a Google site or even using Google Meets for morning broadcast, whatever that may be. So what tech are you going to use? And the kids need to talk about that. They need to say, when we're building this project or we're doing this project, we're going to be using iMovie to make the bully prevention videos for our class. And then maybe ask the kids some ideas. They're watching YouTube day in and day out. What are some fun video ideas or that can make their video different? Make it fun, make it different than just a Google, or than just 2 minutes of them talking. So trying to add their personalities into the video as well. As a judge who's judged several years, that always helps make it more enjoyable for the judges. And if the judges are happy, hopefully those scorers are happy, right? Okay, any questions so far, Russ? I know I'm kind of flying through this.
No, Mary and Nolan and somebody else brought up a good point in the chat about kids not being able to view the rubrics, and I'll go over all that after you get finished with this.
Okay, yeah. Yes, and then one thing to say also, since you did say that about the Google site, it's important that if you do make if the kids do want to use a Google site, that you make it as a teacher and then make them collaborators. Otherwise, judges outside of our Jefferson domain will not be able to see it. So that's important to remember. Very important to remember. Or if they can't see it, then there's hundreds and hundreds of these projects coming in. It's not going to be guaranteed that they can mess with trying to get a hold of you to open that up. So make sure you create that Google site first and then let them be collaborators to do the work. So the next one, creative communicator. How are they going to tell the world about the project? Again, that's where that social media comes in. It's an easy way. Say, well, we have a Twitter account and we've shared it. We're following this person and we've tagged them on Twitter or Facebook to let them know about our project. And then, we do have a humongous communication department in JCPS, and I know they're very busy, but again, that's something for you to remember. You're there to support the kids. So something to think about, you reaching out maybe to the communication department for ideas on how to get the word out within JCPS. Or if it's even bigger, I know last year, McFerrin Elementary, they worked with the news, I think it was WHAS, came out to their school and they worked with them. So obviously we can't be in person, but maybe you can contact the news channel or someone locally that can help you with getting the word out to others. So if the students go through each of these slides and mention something up from them, you should score pretty well on that rubric. Again, digital citizens, making sure that they are striving to be good digital citizens. And I think, I don't know if this is going to count this year, Russ, but something I put here is to make sure the kids mention if there's any photos or videos in there of them, or they found a picture on the internet they want to use for the video, they must cite that source. So a great way for you to pull in some digital citizenship there. And as the brilliant Sarah Bumpus has always said, it's the most important thing you can teach your kids. And look where we are now in 2020. So digital citizenship is so important for our kids to know. So I would, if I were teaching and I had my own kids, I would make sure they mentioned that, these pictures were from this website, or I got permission from parents of these children to have photos in my presentation. I think that's important. And then they're hitting on that digital citizen part of the rubric. So those are the slides that I've created. And I think there's only about 8 of them, I think. 1, 2. Yeah, 8 slides after you get through the first 3 for your students. And I hope that it's an easy way for you to, I don't know, give them ideas on what they should say, just some talking points for those elevator speeches. And then if they do here in the rubric, hopefully they fall somewhere within the range of a minimum score of 35. So hopefully they get 35. So they score up in the 4s and 5s on most of these. The digital citizen, that's an easy 5 points, and so is the logo. So you have 10. So really, you really just need to get, 25 more to advance on to state. And I'll put this in the, sorry, I probably should have done that first. I can put this in the chat, Russ, as well.
Yeah, go ahead and do that. It'd be great.
A forced copy, so it'll make a copy of it.
Yep. Excellent.
Does anyone have any questions? You can unmute yourself. Don't be shy. I see several Zone 2 people in here, so thanks for coming out. And Russ is recording this as well, so I know that'll be up on his jcps.me/STLP site. I put that in the chat too, the recording for this and the other ones that he's done so far.
Yep. Let me go ahead and share my screen now and just kind of show you guys what we were talking about earlier with someone said the students couldn't view the Supersheet, and it's because it was created outside of JCPS. And so what you would do as the teacher, you could go into a file like the Supersheet and you just go to File, Make a Copy. And when you make a copy, that'll be created by your JCPS Google account. And so then you would share that copy with your students. So you might even want to say JCPS STLP Supersheet or something like that. And so that way your students could view that Supersheet. Now, one thing to think about though is if you make a copy of the Supersheet, all of the rubrics are still Google files created outside of JCPS. So what you might want to do is you might want to, if you've got kids interested in digital art, you go ahead and click on that digital art rubric and you make a copy of that digital art rubric file, make a copy. And again, I might call it JCPS STLP DPOJ digital art rubric. Okay, so basically you're just making a copy of this stuff and sharing it with your students, because you're not going to have, realistically, you're not going to have kids interested. Like there's no need to go through every single one of these because you might not have like a Kate product this year or a multimedia content or technical writing or whatever. So just kind of find out what your kids are interested in after they look at this list, and you can make copies of these rubrics individually. Also, when we think about the regional projects, you might want to, make a copy of the rubric for these. So up here in the purple is the rubric for the regional projects that are due December 11th. Just go ahead and make a copy of that. File, make a copy, entire presentation, and just call it JCPS or Medora or Lane or whatever.
Hey, Russ.
Yep.
One of the ideas from our coordinators was, so they did that, and then they just went ahead and created, and many of you probably already have this, but a Google Classroom where they put all of those inside. And then that way, as the kids are working on maybe you're using the elevator pitch template, you are able to see what they're doing and give them feedback within that classroom. It's just an easy way. Even when we were in person, it was an easy way for the teachers, especially if you don't have, those kids in your actual class and you don't see them every day. just an easy way for you to keep up with them, because December 11th, they'll be here before we know it. It's Thanksgiving next week. So
That's right. And just real quick, what we were talking about with the Google site, if you're the coordinator, you're in your Google account, your JCPS Google account, teacher account, you would go to new, from there, like under new, you would, there we go. New. Sometimes you get a really sticky click here. New, more, Google Sites. And then because you created this as a teacher, outside JCPS people can see this. So like Trigg County, Bullitt County, and KDE, they can see your teacher created site. So if you've got students, first thing you have to do is name it. So like Lane STLP, and then that opens up this little guy over here, share with others. And you could click on it. And if Jackson Bosley is a student in my STLP, I can click that and I can give him edit rights. Okay. But I'm still the owner of this site as a teacher, so that makes it viewable to everybody outside of JCPS. So that's just the Google site thing we were talking about. Again, you don't have to use Google Sites, but if you'd like to, that is an option for you.
I think Shannon has a question, Russ, or her hand's raised.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Shannon.
My question was, you'd already answered it about making a copy of the Supersheet, and I didn't realize that. I did make a copy of it, but I didn't realize they also would be prohibited from seeing the rubric. So yeah. I will make a copy of it and of the rubrics that they are interested in. So. Right,
exactly. And that's the thing, is like you said, you would just want to find out what they're interested in, because they don't need to see, all 30 categories or whatever, if realistically they're only going to do 2 or 3. So find out what they're interested in, and then you can make a copy of that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other? Go ahead.
I think Kim has a question. Kim, do you have a question? Miss Curry?
No, did I accidentally raise my hand? I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. It's okay. Real life here. We understand. Well, thanks everybody for joining. I hope that you're able to use that template. And if you're I see a couple new coordinators here. Hopefully that'll help you and your kids, really, to kind of give you an idea of what it is. And really the 2-minute elevator speech is genius, I think, on Jeff's part, especially for all of us who are going to be judging. So I think it's a good way to do it this year. And yes. Thank you so much for coming. And
yep,
good.
Thank you. And so if you have any other questions about what we talked about today, or STLP in general, feel free to ask those now. I do know that the first part of the stipend should be issued to you soon. So maybe early December, I believe. So that'd be $500, and then in the spring you get the other $500. So that's something to look forward to, just in time for winter break, right? So any questions?
Hey Russ, I had a question. It's Julie.
Yes, hey Julie.
I just caught up on some of your recordings yesterday, and my students had started a Google site. So I was watching the one about like dividing and conquering. Could we register for like the DPOJ on the e-publishing with our site and our project?
Yes, exactly. You can register that. If you create a Google site, you can absolutely enter that into the e-publishing category as well. So
how do I register for a DPOJ? And is, like, I know the project deadline is Friday. Is that deadline Friday too?
No, DPOJ registration is not due until, I believe, late February this year. And they will open up that form likely sometime in mid-January. So
okay, so I haven't missed anything yet then.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else before we get off of here? The last 2 weeks I've got off here, nobody had any questions. Then it come to find out that people were like on here 20 minutes later because I got off too early. So I will give you wait time this time to figure out if somebody has questions. Oh, Nishan says, I've already filled out the form. My students want to do a second project. Can they add it?
Good question.
If you filled out the form and you said that we're only going to do one project, and then now you want to do more than one, you need to fill it out again and say, we want to do 2 projects. Because what Jeff has told me is it's okay if you do less, if you end up doing less, if you fill it out and you say, I'm going to do 3 projects and you only do 1, but it's hard if you say, I'm going to do 1 project, but then you come to 3. You want to do 3. So fill it out again, Nishan, and say you want to do 2 projects.